Hey Bloomerinos, guess we're going to make a really simple greenery wreath. And this one we're going to make in the style of a very viral trending design. So if you haven't seen it yet, you're going to love it. Come on in, let's start making this together. This one has a really simple supply list. We're going to work with a smaller wreath base. For me, this is going to be a 14-inch. And then we're going to use 4 greenery bushes that are all alike and just 1 roll of neutral ribbon. So it's just a great basic design that you can make anytime. It makes a great gift. But also if you're a seller, this is a great one to stock your shop with. Because it's just greenery, it can sell anytime and it works really good for people to use inside their homes as well as on their front porches in between the seasons, and those that don't really want to decorate for the seasons but want like a nice classic look all year long, this is perfect for them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm using a really nice leafy greenery that has a little bit of a bud on it. This is basically like a seeded eucalyptus. And I need to cut these really long on each bush. And I'm going to leave about 3 stems attached to the stem because I need some really long to create this kind of trailing, like a trailing look to it. It's not viney, but it's trailing. So I'm going to kind of show you how to do that. So I'm going to leave 3 or 4 of these. Let's see how 4 looks on our bush to get started. Now I'm going to put my hanger on last this time, just so I get a good shape going on this one. Now, the thing about greenery is if you're using something with a leaf like this, I like for it to kind of face forward. We're going to go down to 3. So I'm going to try to get these leaves on this somewhat facing forward and a little bit spread out. Because the reason we didn't cut these off the stem is we need a little bit more length. This design we're making is trails off on the left-hand side. So in order to get that same look, you can see here I'm going to rotate these leaves forward. And they don't all have to be forward, but I think it looks a little bit nicer to see the front of the leaf. That's one of my major pet peeves. But you can see I spread them out. And now we're going to use these lower down on this wreath to kind of cascade off this side and start the longest part of the design. So we're going to take this and go ahead and get some glue on it here. And then we're going to work backwards. Since this design has been trending all spring, I cannot wait for us to see how it morphs into some designs we can do going into the fall. I think that's going to be really exciting. So let's go there. Now I'm going to take, I already broke down a bunch of bushes, 3 bushes already, and have rotated them to where their leaves face forward. And I'm going to start putting these in. And we're going to build up from the bottom up. Now, I prefer to cover my mechanics of glue with a little bitty ball of Spanish moss just to hide the shininess of the glue. When it dries, it usually would show. And this is just a nice, and like a natural green on the Spanish moss. So I've already cut these down and rotated them all to the front. So we're going to start with these first and work our way backward. So I want to create like a little line here to go over the pieces we have already put in. You see how they're overlapping a little bit here? And you can rotate them. They're beautiful, and we're just kind of layering it up. This is a nice leafy greenery that's on a wired stem instead of just hanging like a lot of this type of greenery would be. So I love that we can control the movement in here because of the wire. That's why you want to get your floral supplies from Keleas.com, because I'm really picky and I want to make sure that we've got a good fabric for the leaf, we've got a nice dimension created with the wire, and we've got good color. So we've got the combination of all that. So we're starting off just beautifully. Look at the movement. Oh yeah. All right, so we want to kind of taper a little bit as we work through here till we get up to the peak of the wreath. And that's what you have to decide, where you want to change direction. That's going to be totally up to you and kind of the shape you want to create. But I'm going to start working my way up. So, and as I go along, if I need to still turn a leaf or 2, I'm going to turn it. No problem. So I kind of use a little bit of a zigzag placement technique. That's something I teach in design school. And that'll help you get equal placement when you're putting it in. And because I've been doing this so many years, I've been able to break down the process into very simple terms and easy ways for you to understand what we're trying to accomplish in the placement. I'm always saying you can't just shove it and stuff it in there, or you get a shoved and stuffed look design. You want to think about, how am I putting it in? How am I placing it? Oh, it's so lush. This is so pretty. I love this. You know, and this has that pretty green that would work all summer long. And of course, you can add anything you want to this look. We could add florals. It's a great foundation. Matter of fact, I did a video the other day using a BBB box, and we kind of created this same type of base. We didn't make it quite as full as this one because we were layering more flowers with it. But can you see how pretty it is so far? And this is my really elongated side. Gorgeous. All right, so before I get over here to the transition part, let's see how far we want to come on this side and kind of work on our shape. So I'm going to take a few pieces and we're going to work outward. Now going on the other side of a C. This is like an elongated C shape. Okay. Let's put this piece in. We can start here and start to decide how far we want to come down. I definitely want it longer on this side and shorter on this side. Let's give that a flip. Yeah. So if that's going to be our longest point, you can see how this is going to come down, and I'm going to work from there backward. I like using about 4 bushes to do this with, of this particular bush. You may need more or less if you don't work with what I'm telling you today I'm using. Just kind of depends on how full you want it. And of course, I want it pretty lush. Of course I want it lush. Oh, y'all, I am loving this type of trend. This is more kind of my style, a little bit more natural, and just a little simple, but I think it gives you that beautiful finished look. We take our time and build it up, and we're still zigzagging, and we're just paying attention to where our finished pieces are going to lay as we work our way up. Now, I am still rotating leaves because I think it's important. I don't want to see the backs of anything, and that's why I'm getting such a good look here. And it's layering so pretty together. Look at that. It's really pretty. Now let's go on the top. So I'm going to rotate these around. Flip them around, and I'll go back to the top. And I want to make sure we're kind of beefy up here, like fullness up here. I made some gorgeous horse head wreaths that we did for Wreath Makers Live last year, and they kind of use this same technique to get the fullness. We used pampas grass, some different type, they almost were like millet, artificial millet seed bushes. And all of that was just so pretty when we layered it up. Okay, you can see our shape come in here. Oh my gosh, y'all. Look. So pretty. So pretty. This leaf was a perfect choice for this. And I'm going to show you how we're going to build up this. We're going to build it 2 ways. So I think it's a good idea to have some options with or without the bow. So you need to know how to make it nice and neat and clean in case you decide, hey, my customer doesn't want a bow, I don't prefer a bow. You have both options. Time to cut our last bush for fullness, and then we'll need to do the same thing and make sure that these are all facing forward also. So now I'm working up kind of in the transition zone where we will be putting the bow. Let me go up above. Y'all, we are gearing up for our latest seasonal workshop. I'm very excited about it. So make sure you're asking about it in the comments. We can give you a link to come join us. And don't forget, Design School members, they don't pay for workshops. They get workshops for free. So it's another benefit for being in Design School. Let's come below the transition down here. Just going to watch Oh, so pretty. So I'm going to fill in right here really tight while we're changing direction, because just in case we don't want to use a bow in there, I want you to have both options so you can see it both ways. Oh, it's so pretty. So beautiful. And it's the wire that's making this leaf greenery work, because I'm able to give motion to each piece. That's your secret sauce, guys. It's the motion. And we're able to create that because it has a nice wire. All right, I'm going to come a little bit more to the outside here. All right. This is so pretty. This would be gorgeous, like to make a garland too to match this. All right, now what I want you to do is kind of step back from your piece and take a look and see, hey, where do I have any holes? Where did I miss a little space? I'm going to put one more right in here. And this one that goes in here needs to be a little bit shorter, so I'm going to just cut a piece into two pieces. And you can easily do that by just trimming it, and now I have two. And I'm going to come in right in the center. Now, where the direction changes is where you're going to put your bow, and we would call that your bow zone in design school. That's where we're going to put our bow. But if you don't want a bow and you just want all greenery, that's okay too. What you want to do is just work in this section to where you get good coverage where the direction changes. See how pretty? Don't you love it? But if you are wanting a bow, I am going to show you how to make a really simple bow that you can put right on this. So if you need the link to the video about making the bow, just ask in the comments. We'll give you that. But, haha, here is where you can take a simple, beautiful, like burlap, natural linen bow. And all we got to do is just come in and just tie it right into our design right here, where the direction changes with that greenery. And we are set. What do you think? Let me find the longest tails here, and I'm going to curl these up a little bit. Leave these longer. But what do you think? Can you do that? You can. Bow or no bow, you have both options. We're going to work with this wall pocket today. And if you've been intimidated by this type of design, I don't want you to be, because it's going to be using beautiful greeneries and creating a design that can go all year long. So the first thing I've done is I've gone ahead and mounted some foam in here, and we have that secured with floral pins and some hot glue, so it's ready to go. You do want a little Spanish moss on hand, because you'll want to fill in later if you can kind of see through to the foam. I usually don't put that in till the end. That's something I teach in design school, that we can be a little more frugal with the placement of that moss, hiding the foam, if we'll just wait and do that till the end. On this kit, we're going to start off with some greenery first. This piece here has got a beautiful long eucalyptus, and this is gorgeously wired. And at this point, you can decide how high you want this wall pocket to be. You can keep it low and compact, but I'm going to let it just kind of go large and loud and out. Just kind of bend it so you can kind of get an idea of how high you want that to be. Ooh, that's pretty. That's gorgeous. I'm going to go just a little bit shorter than that. We'll just cut that with the wire cutters, and we'll go ahead and put that right in to get the container started. And then we're going to pop that in our glue skillet right here and get started by putting that in the background. If you want to learn more how to design and learn how to do the placement all on your own and get the first access to all the good things we have coming out, we'd love to have you in design school. So just come and join us at KeleasDesignSchool.com, or you can text us. Go to textkelea.com. It's K-E-L-E-A. And in there, we will send you the link. If you'll send us the word school, we'll send you the link to design school, and you can come join us. We just keep floral designing all year long and move right in from season to season to season. So one of the things I like to teach is having a good stash of everyday pieces, if you want to sell or you want to learn how to make them, is great. So this is considered an everyday piece because it can go in between seasons. So when you put that first piece of greenery in, you're kind of creating your hype in your design. And that's what we're doing here. Now, I've been wanting to design with these willow bushes with all the little blooms on them. And they have a little berry here too. I love that. So they come somewhat curled, but I went through and just made sure I spread them out and made them a little flat on the back, because that gives you just a better, kind of like a better spread. You know, you could get more out of one piece. And we're going to use 2 of these kind of on either side of the main piece. So we can trim it off pretty short here. And I'm just about 3 inches. We're going to do that with both of them. But do make sure you shake hands with them before, and that means just spread them out, make them look clean and neat. And I'm going to put a little blue on there, and then we're going to bring that in right here to the, kind of to the foreground, but out to the right. So this one's going to kind of come out to the right. Oh, so pretty. I love that. Okay, let me show you where we're at here so far. 1 to the right, 1 up, all right? Now we're going to come into the left. Same stem. And we are not cutting this stem down. We're going to use it all lush and full to its fullest potential after I fluff each one up. Get it looking good like that. And so when I say flat on the back, it means I just put all the pretty stuff to the front. In this design, you're not going to see the back. So I'm going to bring this one over on the other side. We put this one in. So they're going either side. I don't like them to be identical. Like if you can, have one a little lower than the other. Just kind of have that one kind of tuck in there. Ooh. Isn't that pretty filling out already? This is going to be the star of this show. We got the back looking pretty, but now it's time for this. So what I want you to do first is I want you to identify from this bush which pieces can kind of stand out and don't have to hang as long. All right. These have to hang down, but they stand up a little bit. These definitely are really long, and they definitely have to hang down. So I'm going to take this one, and we're going to start with the longest one first, because we're going to use a whole bush in here in this design. But I want to see like how far. Okay, that's a little overkill. You know, it's hanging out of the frame. So we're just going to have it hang down just a little bit below the bottom of the container. So I'm going to take and glue this one in first. Now, anytime you're working with floral foam, you have to be gluing stuff in. It'll go in, you'll think it's in good, but it's not in good. It's going to pull out, okay? And in this particular situation, we don't want that happening, all right? We want it to stay in. You see how this is a little bit longer? That's what we want. All right, now we have this fairly symmetrical up here. We've got our little bit of our greenery coming out on either side, right up the middle. But what I want you to do is I want to really bunch up this eucalyptus on one side or the other. I'm going to go on this right side, okay? So take some of the smaller pieces that can kind of stand up, and I want you to bring that one back a little. And so kind of the idea is it's going to just pretty stack and pour out of this, actually like overflow, like beautiful movement. When you see anything I design and I work with, you're going to see a lot of movement. That's what motivates me in my design. I like, you know, curves. I like S shapes. This one I'm going to pin in because I cut the stem on it. I'm just going to pin it in to hold it back a little bit. All right. So I want to see that flow of going up to down. All right. Ooh, this one's just going to stand up on its own, so I'll put it over here. Really, really pretty. All right. And then every once in a while, I want you to step back from your work and take a look at what you got going on. I like it. I think I'd like to steal a little bit of this pick so I can make this a little shorter on this side. Okay, cut that off. All right, keep this side a little low and keep this side high. So we go from high to low and pull this eucalyptus out just a little bit behind. There you go. So this will be high to low, and that I kind of created a flow when I'm going back and forth. So I'm going to add a little bit more of this to the foreground. And then we're going to continue on with this eucalyptus. And I love when we get to do these natural type looking pieces. All right, still putting in the dangling yucco. Ew, that's so lush. Yeah, we're really making it really fat in there. Let's see if I can take this piece and have it kind of cascade over from the back. Let's see if we can do that. You know, with wall baskets, you can take and do all kind of stuff with them, but it's just too fun when you can literally have that greenery just spill out of there. All right, so I've kind of accomplished what I want here with the basket. See how it's kind of flowing out on that one side? I've got this big flow. Ooh, I love that. Now, we want to make it a little bit more wispy in the center and kind of even out the back. So I'm going to do that by using this one right here. This is my favorite fishtail fern, and I'm going to make it just a little fuller there, and we'll add a little wispiness coming in the back. I'm going to take these and we're going to put them right back in that right corner. And we could have put these in first, but I was trying to kind of conserve how much greenery we were putting in each section. Bring this down just a little bit. And now this is going to go over to the right. I'm going to bring these little berries forward so they kind of charge out of there, but I really want these berries to be up tall. Oh, I like that wispiness in there. I wonder if we should take and push this over just a little. Oh, there we go. Kind of like a little bit more to the right. So now that fishtail fern is going to go in. One of my favorite exclusive greeneries I love to use in our designs. I use it a lot. You know, spring up till fall. That one's a little too low. Let me get it up a little higher. There we go. Really pretty. So that line kind of goes up. I just want a little bit of that wispiness look down here too. So I'm going to take these pieces and cut them a little smaller. And just like that, we are coming together so quickly to make your own little wall basket. And we've got this together in a kit for you to make it really easy for you to design your own basket. And the nice thing is it actually comes with a big basket and a small basket in the kit. So you can use a little less and make a little, a couple of baskets, or you can go rogue with one project and then just keep one really, big and full like this, whatever you want to do. But it'll make the decorating easy for you when you're ready to kind of get some neutral pieces in your designs to use in between the holidays. Haha! Isn't it gorgeous? Hey Bloomerinos, I'm getting ready to make a wreath that someone can use as a gift because it's perfect to go in someone's home all year long. So think about housewarmings. If you're going to any parties, this would be a great gift to bring, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's get started. This is something I would teach in class, that you're going to start with a darker green, then I'm going to layer in a lighter green, and then I'm going to bring the color from the back forward again, and that creates depth, and that's why we're going to bring in the boxwood in the foreground. So we're going to take first and kind of push these up slightly. We call this particular fern bush fishtail fern. It's exclusive to Keleas.com. Comes in a couple of different colors, but this is the dark green color. Push these up a little bit shorter so we can kind of control our sizing, that we don't get just so huge, all right? So once you do that, you're going to take and cut these down. You do want fairly long stems, so it'll be easy to put them in the wreath. So I'm going to cut this all down right here. These have about 3-inch stems. And my students in design school, I will always show them exactly how the cuts are going to be, how we're going to cluster it and make it, so that way it makes it easier for you to work with our particular products when you get them. So we're going to start off here and work our way around. Now you are going to want a little bit of Spanish moss. I've got my little bit of moss with me here. This I use to cover my mechanics. It's never included in any kits. We just sell it individually. So just know that if you don't have some Spanish moss, you're going to need to grab some. The other thing I'm going to be using when I'm making this is our electric glue skillet. So this is hot glue in here. This is a mini electric skillet, so it's used for cooking. So the first thing we're going to do is start to put in our fern, and I am just dipping it in the glue right off camera. And I'm going to start to put this around the perimeter, okay? Now, we're going to just start putting it in. Now, if you're a little bit more uncomfortable just placing it in like I'm doing, what you can do is lay it out and come back and glue it in. That's fine too. but I'm just starting to kind of get a perimeter started, which is usually one of our first steps in creating a wreath that's going to be having greenery in the background. I'm gluing a little bit off camera, so you're going to see it going. Now everybody's been going in nice and neat and clean, but we got to a section here to where there's some spacing in that wreath. So the glue is hitting a few places, but it's not hitting everywhere. So this is when the magic of the Spanish moss comes in. Not only does it cover up, it's going to cover up the glue, which is mainly what we want, but it also creates kind of like a space filler. So now that Spanish moss is in there and it helps keep it tight to hold it in. So that's something I've been doing for years. It's a little bit different than a lot of creators do. I particularly love it. I love the look of moss. I'm always working with natural type looking materials, even though these are all artificial. This moss is real, but it has been dyed and it has been cooked, so it's buggy free, no buggies. It's dyed and it's all safe for you to use. But I want you to know that it's one of my favorite things to use to hide mechanics. Okay, sometimes you won't need it because of the fact that you know, stuff goes in good, you don't even see the glue. You maybe see a little bit right there. I can put a little bit on there. So we kind of went in with our first bush. All right, we got pretty even spacing. And now we're gonna come back in and we're gonna add a little bit more as we kind of layer up our design, okay? So I'm gonna put my Spanish moss over to the side, but I've still got it over here if I need it. And we're gonna start to now build on the next layer, which is gonna be the eucalyptus. And this is really pretty. This is a really premium eucalyptus because it looks very real. And we're going to take and cut this bush up first. I'm going to trim this little raffia off here, which always looks so cute, nicely polished and finished. And we'll pull that off. Oh, I've got little raffia bits everywhere, but oh, that's so fun. Now, this one breaks up into these gorgeous stems, like it is ready to go, and it's already bunched into little great sections. And I want you to pay attention to how this moves. Movement is so important in your designs, and when you're making a piece like this that you want to give as a gift, think about how pretty it's going to be on their door when a little breeze comes by and it gets that little bit of movement. It's going to look so realistic. Now, these are going to go in kind of between our fishtail. And I think we're going to just cut them really pretty short. We're just going to keep them just about the same length as our other fishtail, kind of layering up our design. Let's try one and I'll put it in and see. We'll put it right here. Let's double check this length. Oh, go in there, buddy. Oh my gosh, it's going to be pretty. That's beautiful. So let's go with that. We'll go between each one as we go around. I'm going to bring this one in. So when you're making gifts, what's one of your favorite things to do? Do you just enjoy the process of creating? Or are you creating something with you know, a certain feeling you have in mind that they're going to feel when they see this on their door? I'd love to know more about it. It is so fun when you make something with somebody in mind for the gift. And this particular project is a kit, so I was even thinking, if you have a creative friend who loves to be crafty, what a fantastic gift this would be, right? This would be just perfect because they wouldn't have to go out and get anything. The only things they would need is a little bit of wire cutters and some glue and an electric skillet like this, or a glue gun would work. Now, when I'm bringing in this, I'm going to go right between each layer, okay? So if there is a fishtail, I'm going between it, okay? I'm putting it in. Oh, this one needs to go right here. I pulled that one back out. We keep working our way around. Now, these are singles instead of doubles. So what I'm going to do is when they're a single spray, I'm going to put 2 in here because this one had a little bit less. All right, and notice how I'm kind of keeping a curve going. If possible, I can see a little bit of my glue. I'm going to put a little bit of my moss here to kind of hide it. All right. Here's 2 more singles. We'll use these next. It's just too much fun building up these. Hey, and if you've got anybody who's going through a stressful time or needs a new, something to kind of take their mind off of life stresses, I would encourage you to try wreath making because of how relaxing it is. It is relaxing, and when you're getting a kit, there's not this huge investment. You don't have to run around and get a lot of the stuff. You just grab the kit. It comes to your door. It has links to this video. It's got a QR code. You can just come and scan. You're not having to hunt to even find the video. You don't have to email us. You're welcome to email us anytime, but you don't have to, because we make it simple to find out what you need to get back to watch this class. Okay? And then if you have a friend who loves wreath making, if you've bought a few of our kits and you've tried them, then I would say come and join us in design school, because in class we're doing it every week and we're doing it with you, and I'm not trying to stress you out or wear you out with just tons of content. I just want you to enjoy the process of creating and kind of get into this Zen vibe when you get to create beautiful things. Okay, we got this started. You can see what a great base we have started with. Now, our next step is going to be to layer a little bit more. So what we're going to do next is we're going to grab a little bit of that fishtail. We have this left from our first bush, but we're not done. We're going to keep layering it up. So here's our fishtail, and we're going to put this in next again. So you're going to push it up. And you can see we're going to build up the lushness by putting layers in. Now I want this one a little shorter, because I want to layer it in right next to where we have the eucalyptus. So cut this one in a little bit shorter, just 2-inch stems, and I've pushed it up a little bit more, okay? And what we're going to do now is we're going to go everywhere we had a eucalyptus. Now we're going to kind of make sure that this is laying right over a eucalyptus. So that means I'm going to have to put it a little bit further back and a little bit more to the center. We have been running kind of towards the perimeter. Now we're going to come a little bit more to the center. And I'm just going to work my way around. And we're going to put one right between each of those. And make sure you're going into the wreath. That's always really important. You don't want to be going through the back. We're going to go into the wreath. And I am dipping into glue over here because I'm bringing it over. Make sure you're going into the wreath. This is so pretty already. I literally get so excited when we're just coming in here and it's building up so quickly and nicely. I got a little glue on that one. It pulled off. No worries, it pulled off. All right, this one I'm pushed down just a little bit more. It was a little bit longer stem. All right, we're gonna go in here. Look how pretty it is. Just laying out here. Yeah, it is fun to make these as gifts. And you know what? You can grab a couple of kits, make this with your good friends, have a wine night, have a little cocktail fun, and you know, make it together. Hey, you could even give it as a gift with a little card in there saying, you know, you call me, we come over, we make these kits together. Look how pretty this is already. Okay, eucalyptus, then we layered on a little bit more of the fern. Now I'm ready to bring back eucalyptus again. So we're gonna grab our other bush. We have a little bit left from the first round. And we're gonna grab our others. Look how pretty this is. It's getting bigger than the camera. We have room in the camera. And I'm gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna trim these off. This time really short, right? And you wanna stay, if you can, right here where it's, this part where it's kind of, it's wrapped in some additional plastic because it's keeping a couple pieces together. So we want to try to keep it that short if we can, because it'll make it go a little bit faster. So let me cut some of these off. Hi! You gotta have strong hands here. Get it? Oh. You could cut one at a time. This is when you know my ADD is kicking in. Like, cut them all, let's go. Let's go, people. Impatient. All right, a couple more. Y'all, my kiddo has a just a fun weekend planned of sports. And I know she's going to be keeping me busy. So I'm glad I'm getting ahead of the game making a couple of gifts. And hopefully you enjoy these too, where you can make some too. Now we're going to put on our eucalyptus and kind of keep working on the depth that we're coming together with this design. So what we're going to do is we're going to dip those into the glue pot, and then I'm going to kind of just piggyback, which means I'm just going to come right behind where I was before. And I'm going to keep these shorter and more to the middle. Like, we're not going to keep going out to the perimeter. We're going to keep making this more to the center. Oh my gosh, this is turning out so pretty. Y'all have to head over to Keleas.com and grab this kit, or go shop our greenery. Put some greeneries together that you like. And think about this. You want two that are kind of a similar color palette, and then one that's maybe a little bit different, where this one's a little matted. So the colors layer together really pretty. And in this recipe, I think we're doing 2 of each bush. And depending how big you want to make, we're working on a 14-inch wreath base. So if you want to go really big, you will need to, get some more. But overall, this is going to work pretty good. I'm going to put these to the side. We're going to use these smaller pieces to fill in like little holes in a little bit. And I'm going to keep working with these around to the center. Okay, so we're going to keep these curved in here. Watch your glue string. We do not want glue string madness. All right. The fun thing is you can create so many different looks. Whatever, you want to do. I love this. All right. So take a look at it. I think that looks great. Now, I'm real happy with how wispy we are here around the center. I want to work a little bit more on the outside just to add a little bit more thickness as we go around. So what I'm going to do is kind of, every other one we're going to put a little bit more to the perimeter, okay? So like here, I've got a little bit of a hole. I want to put one here. Perfect. And just hold it up and take a look. Okay, right here, I see we could use a little more out on the perimeter. So you're just beefing it up a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you're kind of adding a little bit between some of the longer pieces of the fishtail. Come on in here. And you don't necessarily have to worry about hiding the mechanics anymore because it's way behind everything. You're good. Oh, that looks great. I think we're doing great. I'm gonna put one more right here behind this one. I think we have an excellent shape. Okay. This kit has more that comes with it, but if you wanted to keep it super simple, you could stop right here. But we're going to take it to the next level because I like when you mix 3 greeneries. I think it gives it more interest. So let's bring in our next greenery. This killer cute boxwood. And this boxwood has just a really adorable leaf on it. So if you will take and just push these up and get cute little sections right here. Little clusters, little poofs of happiness of boxwood. They're pretty symmetrical in their size and shape. We're going to do this, and we're going to cut these with about 2-inch stems. They don't need to be much longer. Don't cut them too short, though, because we have to work through all of this now. So let's do 3 inches to be safe, so you've got plenty of room, okay? Just like that. We're going to do that with both bushes. Let's take these, and we're going to start to use these kind of in the center, right at the middle. So I'm going to start to bring these in and go around. I'm going to push them in and give them a little bend up. Isn't that great? So you see me bending that wire a little? We need to do that to be able to take and make sure that wire does not pop out the bag. Oh, that's pretty. I like that. All right. Bring this one, and we're just stacking these. They're not trying. We're just going one after another around that center. Keeping it tight. And you can see what a difference that's going to make on our dimension, because these are going to be tight. I had to trim that one down a little bit. We left it a little bit too long. Okay, and I keep pushing them up, and we're going around that circle. Generally, I just rotate the wreath because I like to work right here in this left-hand kind of quadrant. I'm going to bring that in. Make sure you're going into the wreath. We don't want any wires shooting out the back. Try not to. We're going to try. We can always clean it up if we have to, but if you just keep practicing, you can get it to cooperate and go where you want it to go. You see how pretty that layered in? Now you can just tell, oh my gosh, look at all this color. These beautiful greens that are ever so slightly different just look gorgeous together. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Isn't that pretty? And you may have a little bit of greenery left, or you can come in and just put even more in, depending how much you want to put in here. This kit also is going to come with some ribbon, so I'm going to show you that in a minute, but look how pretty. Now, you guys, you know we're making this for a wreath, but literally this would be a gorgeous candle ring right here on a big candle for any season. It's not seasonable. Seasonable. You can put salt or pepper on it, but I don't know that it's going to help it. Isn't that pretty? I got a couple pieces left. I'm just going to take and see where I can fill in. That looks gorgeous. I'm going to put a little bit right here. I see where I have a little hole. And what you could do is take and hang it up. Hang it up just a little bit, and that way you can see if you missed anything anywhere. Any holes. Sometimes they're not as, you might see it depending what's hanging, you know, up or left or right. Isn't that pretty? I just made a gorgeous boxwood in the center here. And it doesn't have the stinky smell of real boxwood that's preserved. You're lucky. It's all just got a normal smell, no smell. Look how pretty this is. Isn't this gorgeous? This is gorgeous. Now I'm going to show you the very last touch we made for this. Are you ready? Y'all, we tied a classic black and white bow for this wreath, and I'm going to give you some options of where to put it. It looks beautiful just right at the top of your wreath, just kind of coming down, cascading down, okay? Well, option 1. Option 2, you can put the bow down here at the bottom and let it just hang down the door. Let the beautiful door hang down and cascade, because it's got these gorgeous tails. Now, if you don't know how to make a bow like this, I'll be happy to show you. We'll put a link here. If you go to the supply list for this project, it will also have a link for how to make this bow. So anytime you see our projects, there'll be a supply list that you go to, or the kit, and the kit will also have links to the videos, so you won't miss a thing. And I'm going to take this. The other option is to kind of tuck it in here to the bottom corner, and that's where I'm going to put mine, because that's always my favorite, to kind of push it in right here. So I'm going to take my cable tie and we'll attach it over here at the bottom. Just pull some of this greenery out of your way. Now when you're putting on a bow, don't get all crazy and try to suck it way down into your project, okay? When you get a cable tie and you pull it tight, it'll pull way down, and it kind of makes it look weird. So just get it on there with a little tension, not a lot. I'm going to trim that off. And now we're going to fluff it and kind of work the florals in around it. And this is always really important to me. And my design school students will tell you that we work hard to incorporate our bows into the project. And sometimes we want it to look like the bow's on top, and sometimes we want it to look like the bow is integrated with the design and it's coming, you know, through. So a great way to do that, and we've got a little bit of eucalyptus left here, is kind of make sure we use some of this to break the plane of the ribbons. And that's a good trick you can try too on your own. So I'm going to separate these out slightly, and then we're going to come in here in the middle and just bring this right down. Okay, oh my gosh, how pretty. And so now I've actually taken and layered a little of this greenery into the bow. And how pretty is that? And then we can put just a little bit here at the top, just a little leaf of it. We don't need a whole bunch here. And I'm going to pop this in here at the top and kind of let that come out. And you see what I'm talking about? Just those couple of little extra pieces made such a difference. And this wreath is going to be beautiful whether you use the bow, you use all 3 greeneries that come in the kit, or you just back it off and use a couple and use the other stuff for something else. This is such a great gift to give anytime, and I think if you give it a try, you're going to find out how easy and how pretty it is to make these yourself. So this is our whole color palette we're going to use, and the supplies we're going to use to make this wreath. So grab your fishtail ferns, and we will do those first. Now, you also need a little Spanish moss to cover up the mechanics, and we'll have our glue pot right here close by. With the fishtail fern, what I like to do is just go ahead and push these up a little, so you get about 5 inches down here, and then just cut that down to 2. Just like in design school, I walk you through step by step. I'm going to show you today so you can easily prep your greenery for your wreath base. And I'm just pushing that up, and we'll trim it 2 inches on this. You guys, 26 years experience creating wreaths and selling them helps me show you how to make things quickly and efficiently. Whether you want to make them for your home or you want to come join us in business coaching and learn how to become a seller as well. Either way, I'm going to show you step by step how to create. Greenery is going to, what we call set the perimeter. So I'm going to start to put where I want my tallest piece to be, and then I'm going to work back from there. And when we're going in the grapevine, I've got a lot of glue on there. Anytime you can see the glue, you're going to come in and add some Spanish moss to it. Okay, I'm just going to get a little moss ball, and that helps secure it in there really nicely and holds the glue in place. I'm going to keep working back towards the center. And then we're going to talk about the direction change. So when you get to a certain point on your wreath, you're going to have a direction change in which things are going to come down. We call that the transition point. So you've got to think about that on your piece when you get ready to shift. All right. So we're still going up right now, but I think my transition is going to work right around here. And if that's the case, what I'm going to do is keep working down, and then I'll switch direction. Okay. So just give that a little rotation. And now we're going to do the same thing. Repeat the process that we have up above the transition right here below. Okay, so this is repeating that. You get the drift, but this is the kind of things I teach you in design school step by step with each project in each season. And then you have an access to a database when you first join of 24 videos. And after you've been here 6 months, then we give you access to the whole portal, which is over 250 videos now of step-by-step instruction, and they all have clickable supply lists where you can add those things right to your cart and immediately get the supplies you need to make what we're making. Okay, you see I'm working on the bottom half of the transition, so just coming in down here, we're going to rotate that. That's right where our transition point is, or our bow zone. So you can see these are all identical placement. Those two, those two, those two. So now I need to do this one, which is right here. So when you set that perimeter of the greenery, it really, really helps you be able to know exactly where everything's going to go, and you've got a nice symmetry going. Even though we're just working on one side of a wreath, there's symmetry involved because these match these, if that makes sense. Okay. So now let's go on and grab our next supply we need to put in, which is our big floral bush. This big honker floral bush has to go in next. And I am going to keep this greenery. It's a little bit more olivey, but I think it looks pretty in contrast. So push it up by the leaves. Just push each one of those up. And then we're going to trim these off to about 5-inch stems so we can give them a little bit of motion. So just start to trim them all off, the whole bush. Now you need to collect them and kind of collate them into colors, because we need to know exactly how many we have of each color. So here's the coral burgundy ones. Here's the cream ones. These are fillers right here. These are just greeneries. A little cream hydrangea. There's a couple of those in there. There's another filler. So you know that you want to be able to make 2 clusters for the top and 1 cluster for the bottom. So if I do that, I can just go like this. I can separate them right out. And we know we can do 2 clusters for the top and 1 for the bottom. And then one can have the cream bud and 1 can have the white bud. And these are a little bit more floral, so we'll have 1 at the top right here, 1 at the bottom here, and then we'll save this one for the additional top one, and we'll mix it with a hydrangea. So you're going to make your own little clusters. Now you don't have to take and use a pick machine or anything like that. I don't teach you to use that. I like to keep it super simple and eliminate steps in the process. So we're going to make our cluster on the wreath. Okay, so here we go. We're going to bring our big peony in first and just bend that head up. Right beside it, I'm going to go more to the inside with the coral. Right here. Beautiful. And then our bud can, or this one's going to have, oh, this one's going to have the hydrangea. The hydrangea can back a little bit behind. So you're making your own little cluster right here when you put it on, okay? Look how beautiful. And oh, so elegant and pretty already. Now, get in there with your moss. We got to cover any of that glue that we've just used. If you've got an opening in your wreath where the gap is a little loose, when you put it in, you might use a little more moss to hold it in place. Okay, our first cluster's in. Now we're ready for cluster number 2, right around here. And we've got them laid out over here to the side. So we're going to put it in also. And I'm going to take and give that stem a little bend. And we're going to go right in here. Okay, beautiful. Number 1's going in. And let's put number 2 right beside it. And I'm going into the glue right next to me. Beautiful. And then we're going to put number 3 right here. This one has the bud. Isn't that pretty? And then those are nicely clustered together. That's important that they're staying clustered for the whole design that we're creating. Okay, now let's come down here to the bottom. Below the transition, we've got our last cluster here. And I'm going to place it in also. And it's going to go a little bit. We're leaving a little space in here in case you want to put a bow. If you don't want to put a bow, you could just place the flowers tighter to the center. Every time I do a tutorial in design school, I give a stopping point because sometimes you might want to stop because of your budget. If you're a seller, what is my end price I want to have this at? If I put more, it's going to elevate it to a new price range, that type of thing. Or you're just your budget for your client, or your particularly personal budget. So I've got 2 above the bow zone and 1 below. You can see the symmetry still kind of continues, and I've got a line working down the middle, and that's exactly what I want. So now it's time to grab our next greenery. This is going to be our filler. It's going to fill in between all of those. We're going to cut this right down into sections, and we're going to use this in between. This one, you can trim it down shorter if you want, or you can go leave it long like I'm going to use, okay? You do got to give those some motion. You got to make them moving up. Depth and dimension mean higher prices for your finished project and a higher demand for your work because it's good quality. And so we utilize the wires. Anything you get from Keleas.com will be a higher quality. We try to have it just a little bit higher quality so it stands out and you're able to command a higher price. The neatest thing is they're much easier to work with when they have all these great wires. It's a couple of shorter ones. Let's use this shorter one in the back here. Okay, we got a lot of the greenery put up here to the front, and then we're going to put our next one. Oh, pretty. Make sure you're hitting that glue with the moss. Now let's look on the bottom part now. Move it up a little. And let's take our longest piece and kind of come in between these 2 right here. Push that into the grapevine, give it a little motion up. I love that. And then we'll go on the other two sides of this cluster. So we're leaving a little spot for the bow, but you don't have to if you don't want to. If you want to do no bow, remember, you're just going to shrink it all together. All right, she's looking good, y'all. Look at her beautiful flow. Now it's time to come in with our boho rose. That's going to add a bunch of color and really get a little bit more of that mauve color going. So this one cuts easily into 3 pieces. I'm going to do that right now. And depending on the length you want to use this in your piece, I can separate it again. So if we want more distribution, we can take and separate these into 2s also to kind of get a little bit more going around. If you really like this piece, you can always modify the recipe and you want more of this, just add 2 bushes to your supply list. So when you're going to look at a supply list at Keleas.com, you can modify, obviously you could be like, hey, I want more of the boho rose in there. Every supply list, guys, has links. And the cool thing is, then you can come in and watch the full video if you really want to make it. You can order the supplies from the quick video, but we've done all the hard work for you. We've done all of that. And when you're in design school, your supply lists are password protected, so you get first dibs to the new supplies and the new material, and kind of makes it exclusive to you. And that helps really set you apart. I'm gonna put this one here. So we're just adding in touches of that boho rose and the burgundy. And I've got one more piece we're gonna put in right here. This is a little bit longer one. Okay, let's just tuck that one in. There's a big grapevine here. Got a lot of stuff there, but I think I can get it. Yes. And once again, utilize that beautiful wire in there. So look, it's so pretty. I love these. And these can go all year long. Okay, you can see our shape is coming together great. We've got a good flow going. We've left our bow zone open. So let's go ahead and tie the bow, and then we'll get it put in. Make it super easy. The 3-loop blows add a lot of movement to your piece, and so that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to start off just by dovetailing this first cut, and you make that little V cut in the end. And I'm going to do about 24 inch tail just to get a lot of momentum. And then you can just take and twist your ribbon right here. Just hold it tight and twist. You get a nice strong twist, okay? And then hold that with 2 fingers. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to pull this out, and we're going to go ahead and make a couple of loops. And you want them to be kind of floppy and loopy. And I'm going to take and just pleat that up a little. This is 6 to 7 inches is good. That's kind of the sweet spot. Crease it and then, you know, kind of gather it, then twist it. Now I'm going to do another one. Now this is a beautiful bow itself right here. With the floppy type bow is trending. This is still wired, but you can keep a really natural bow if you wanted to stop here and just do 2 loops, 2 matching tails. Beautiful, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to twist and we're going to go for another loop. So just extend that ribbon out a little bit more, and we're going to go for a 3rd loop. So the reason we put the twists in is it helps the bow from coming apart. So you're going to have 2 on one side and 1 on the other with both tails coming out that side. Okay, so we started with a tail, then a loop, then the other 2 loops. Now let's cut this one just a little bit shorter. So I'm going to come in here and cut it. And we're ready to go ahead and tie this bow off. So come on in with your cable tie, and you can use a wire too. If you're going to do wire, 18 gauge is perfect for bows. 22 goes in the back. We're going to use cable tie so we can get it nice and tight, and then just kind of fluff it up before you're done tightening it. See, I can kind of manage my twist and see my tails coming down kind of asymmetrical. I love that. Now come in the back and add your cable tie back here. Just going to slide that under, and you're just going to get that really tight. Really tight. And that's why I like cable ties with like this jute ribbon, because they can get tighter than a wire. Okay, now take and let's fluff it out. Let's have these 2 kind of trail down together really pretty. And because this is wired, look how I can fluff it all up. All right, and then we'll be putting this in our wreath. The only thing you want to do is, if you don't have a flower to cover that center, the easiest piece of ribbon I put in there is I just cut my own. Just take and cut. Don't go too short, even though you don't need a lot. It's hard to manipulate it. So go about 10, 12 inches, cut you a little strip. And I just fold it to the width I want it. And that also cleans up any rough edges, just like that, okay? Spray on that ribbon. Look how pretty, right in the center. Now come in and pop a couple of knots in. And there it is. Now it's time to put our bow on. And we left that little area open for the bow. So we'll just move this to the side, and we're going to clip it right in with the cable tie. And I like the longer tail to go to the outside and the shorter tail to go to the inside. You can certainly play with that and do in a different way if you want to. But we're going to just run this cable tie through here and get it nice and tight. And then you just want to clip off that little bit of an end, and when you clip it off, you can get it just a little bit tighter usually. All right, great. Now I'm going to shape up the tail. I want this one to kind of run underneath. Isn't that pretty? And this one will run kind of this way. Now we're not quite done. We need to fill in a little of this area around the bow with our extra greenery and our a little bit of floral pieces we have left. So what I'm going to do with this white hydrangeas like the one we have up there is I'm going to use it right here at the bottom of the bow. So let's just take and give it a little bend, and we'll have it come out the bottom. And got a little glue on there, just push that right into here. And that little piece can just tuck in nicely into there and fill in kind of under the ribbon as it's kind of curling out. Oh, you know what? We never dovetailed the other tail, so we can do that now. And you can take and use the wires to do all kind of fun movements with this ribbon, scrunch it up, it's really fun. Now I'm going to take some of the pieces of this greenery that we have left and take and shorten it up to little short clusters. So you just grab it, pull it a little bit short, and we're going to use the little short clusters in by the bow.
So we're gonna pop one up here. Love that one. Close. There we go. Kind of over to the side. How about one right in here too? So you're gonna work your way around your wreath while you're doing this to kind of fill in those zones that you need it and give them a little bend forward. Let's put one right here, and that kind of, in design school we call that breaking the plane. It breaks the plane of the other floral and gives that, once again, we're working on dimension when we're doing that. So that's why you don't want these shooting off just so far, but we want them tight into the to the base now. We're gonna come right here and layer that one on top. Y'all, if you love this kind of design, you want to learn more of how to make these own pieces for your home to make your home just gorgeous. We do centerpieces, swags, garlands, even some Christmas trees, tree toppers, all that fun stuff for every season of the year in our class. Come join us at KeleasDesignSchool.com. And we have step-by-step tutorials that are literally step-by-step, so you can watch them as many times as you want to be inspired to create your own project. All the projects have clickable supply lists, so you're able to come in and just make them exactly as pictured, or you can take the supply list and use it as reference. So for your next project you're going to make, maybe you're going to make it for a different season, so you want to use some different colors, but you have that guideline to go by. This is my last little piece, and I'm going to put it in right here. And y'all, we did it. We did it. This turned out just stunning. It is a gorgeous cottage wreath, beautiful muted color tone that you can use really all year long, but it is beautiful. You could use it in your home as well. This is a longer rosemary. This is kind of like the kind you would use on your barbecue pit, and you'd pull the leaves off, or you might use some of the wood to give it that nice flavor. This is an artificial type like that, and it's got the longer stems. So that's going to work great for our perimeter and have a really natural vibe. So I'm going to grab my wire cutters, and you're going to cut these as long as they will go. Now this one is too thick. If I leave it like this, that's too many pieces. We're going to cut that off. We want them all to be kind of smaller pieces because this wreath isn't all the way around. It's 360 design, so we want to take them all the way. And I'm just going to cut each one of these off here too. And you're doing this so you're prepping your bush, so it's really easy to work with. We can leave a couple clusters, but we want to have a nice strong stem. And you want to grab your Spanish moss because we're going to need it too right now. And we're going to just work our way around the perimeter with these. And we're just going to start off working our way around. I'm generally going to go clockwise, and you're not going to go all the way out to the edge. You see I'm kind of going in that 3/4 spot. You guys, if you love these type of wreath designs, we would love to have you in our design school where weekly we come out with new tutorials, and you get a weekly live with me, answering your questions, chatting about life. We just love to be in there talking about what's going on in our lives and just have a friendship in the wreathing community. We've got people in there who are sellers, others who just love to just create and make beautiful pieces for their home. We've got every level in the group, and I adore that because it's fun to have the more advanced students posting their work and motivating all of us to keep on creating and making beautiful things. And then we welcome the beginners, because the beginners are exactly where we used to be when we started. So all of that is just a treasure. So I love to be live with them each week. You guys see that right there with some glue? I just covered it with moss. So we're just working our way around. And remember, I'm in the 3/4 zone. You can go further out. We're working with a 14-inch wreath base. You can go further out, but then you just need more material. So you'll have to plan on getting a couple more bushes. But this is our perimeter, and we want it kind of tight to I want it kind of tight to my garland we're going to be putting in the middle. So we're just working around. And if you don't have quite as much experience, like my 26 years, you might want to go ahead and put them in without gluing them first, then come back and glue it. I'm a little more confident in my placement, just because I've done it thousands and thousands of times. This would be a gorgeous just wreath by itself. This rosemary is beautiful. Okay, that's looking amazing. Now the next thing we want to do is we're going to hold these off for a little bit. We've still got that much left, but you want to grab your gypso. That's the longer gypso. It's a filler. It's actually a filler bush, and we're going to take and trim it down to where each stem is nice and neat. So we're going to take and break these off and trim them nice and neat. Just take and tear this apart, and then once you do that, you can take and trim off the ends. We got to have it nice and neat. And we just want 2-inch stems on here, not very. Once you do that, you're going to come up with these beautiful pieces just like that. And then with all of these neat trim pieces, we're going to work around and go right in between that rosemary. So one of the neat things about this trend with the baby's breath is that it is a little unruly. So you want to make sure you're staying in your clockwise design. So each one of these comes in, we're going to stay in our clockwise design. So I'm going to put this in a little bit more towards the center and work my way around. And we're going to try to go in between either each one or every other one. We'll see if we have enough to do each one. I think we've got enough. And I just put a little glue and we're pushing it in. Be a little bit liberal on the glue because you want to make sure it's going to stay good. If the glue globs up on the base, then you're going to come back and definitely cover it with the moss. So already we've created this really pretty look of the dark green in the background and the light green on the foreground. That layering up is gorgeous, okay? Created some beautiful interest, and I'm working my way right around. You guys have to come get supplies from us. If you'll try our supplies from Keleas.com, I promise you'll be happy. I really try to have higher end pieces at reasonable prices. And if you join design school, you're going to get the next level teaching and assets right at your fingertips. So literally, you can always be inspired to create your next beautiful project. I did craft shows for a living, guys, which is unusual. A lot of people do craft shows on the side, but I did them for a living for 17 years. Some of that while teaching, and then the last 12 to 13 without teaching. I did take the leap of faith to do it for a living, traveled all over the country. I am thankful for all that experience because I can pass it on to you. With my construction techniques, I had to have things that held up to travel to different cities. That I also know what sells well because I've sold a lot of these pieces. And because we sell now on our website different designs and styles, not every trend is a trend that's a keeper. So, you know, I cut out the BS for you and just deliver what you need. Okay, you can see how gorgeous this is already, right? This is stunning already. Now our next layer is our longer gypso that's a little more, it's a little bit different green. And we're gonna take and cut this down. It comes in long stems. You're gonna push these up. I've already pushed them up to make these cute little clusters. And we wanna cut these fairly short. I just trimmed them like this. But what you wanna do is work around now and make these, I would say, about 4-inch stems. So trim everybody down to shorter little stems. So they're all the same. So you can just kind of gather them like this. You know, okay, this one's a little longer. See, this one needs to be pushed. There we go. And this one needs to be pushed a little more. I think they're a little cuter pushed into one cluster, if you can. See? Let's see this one. Yeah. Okay, once you do that, then just kind of stack them up where they're pretty close. Oh, they're so pretty. And trim those all to 4-inch stems. So these are all pretty similar. Now we're going to work around the perimeter, and I'm going to put one and skip one this time. So we'll put one in and we'll skip one. Okay. So these are going to go like a little bit thicker, but in between. Now we're going to be using that garland towards the middle. So put one, skip one. I'm going to go right behind my other greenery we had. We can always come back and put more, but we're going to start this way. The garland's going in the center, and it's our really tight pop of white. We're going to work this all around the perimeter. Now let's say you're watching this and you're like, I love what you got going. I tell you what, you could just stick with this and just double this recipe right now and don't buy the garland. You could do it just like this too. So that's the kind of tips I give you in design school also. Because every recipe has so many different varieties. Think about when you're cooking. You know, some people want more onions, some people want some cayenne peppers, some people want, you know, a little more flour, or they want it gluten-free. Now I'm going to tuck in some in between here just to make some of these clusters a little thicker, and I'm going to make sure that those form a triangle. Uh-oh, we're getting deep on the design. You can do it though. Try it. All right, beautiful. Isn't this coming together so stinking pretty? We have barely gotten started and it's so pretty. Now grab your garland. The garland comes with these little attachment pieces that go on the bottom. You know, to hang it on things. We don't need that, but I do want to use this stem a little long to get her started. Now, the neat thing about this garland, she's on an incredible wire. I love that. So I'm going to utilize that to kind of bunch her up as we're putting it in. So we're going to pick a starting point, and we're going to start to put her in, go in the same direction. I'm going to just put her little wire here, and I want these to stay really tight to where everything else is gone so far. So the idea is we're going to run one on the outside and one on the inside. I want you to do a dry run and make sure it's going to fit. Oh my God, how pretty. I made this thinking you would use this for a wedding wreath, but nah, you can use it for yourself because it's so pretty. We're going to have enough to do 2 runs. So what we need to do is you can cut it or you could cable tie it. And I think it's gonna be a little easier to cut it, to control it. So I'm gonna make like a little section here, and I'm gonna leave myself a little bit of a stem here. And we're gonna put a little glue on that. I'm gonna bring the glue to it. Y'all, I don't use a glue gun. This is a bamboo stick coming into a, coming out of the glue pot. This is gonna stay back a little because I'm gonna have some on the inside. Now hit that with moss. This is so fun. All right, next little section. Let's do it. I gotta cut it in the middle so I can have a little stem on each side. Let's go right here. And we'll just tuck this right in. Let me get a little glue on this one. And we're gonna just make it like it's continuous. You can also take and cable tie it, like I said, but I think we'd be fighting a lot of cable ties in there. And then this one with a little wire end. Put some glue on it. So we're gonna go slow. Watch your glue strings. And this is kind of going a little bit more tighter to the florals because we're gonna run another little bit inside, okay? Cut it in the middle so you leave a little stem on each side. Get the glue right to it. Don't use a glue gun, please. It's way hot. You're gonna burn the tar out of yourself. Just stick with using your little electric skillet, and we're gonna work it around. So if you've never tried a glue skillet, you need to. They're just wonderful. The glue is just hot enough to manipulate, but not so hard you burn. You can still burn yourself, guys. You have to be careful, but not so bad. Pull that up. That stays up here. Use that wire in that garland to manipulate it. Let's cut this one into 2 sections. I don't have a bow planned for this one, but if you wanted to do a bow, you certainly could. Definitely leave a spot for a bow. Be totally fine. Here, oh my gosh, so pretty. I'm gonna put some glue there. I'm gonna put a little bit of moss to hold that one. Nice. Nice, nice. Okay, then our final piece is going right here. I'm gonna have a little bit of a holes slightly, but I'll start the next one there to go on the inside. So pick a side you want to go closer to. I think I'm going to go right here. And I got my glue, pushing it in. Okay, so now we're going to have a run around with another layer in the middle. And I think we could start it here and it'll be fine, but let's measure. We can always bring it more to the center. We've done a great job on the perimeter. So this is all I've got left. So you got to kind of space it out. Like if I start here, can we make it in the middle? We can, oh my God, so pretty. We can, I think we can. So let's just take, let me do the same technique of cutting it. I think that works better. Let's just cut this into little sections so we can kind of plan it out. It's kind of like that into little sections here. Let's see how it has a little gap there. We'll cut that one and we'll leave that. Here's all the sections. We have 3. Well, let's take this little gapper piece, put it right here. And don't freak out too much if you have a little bit of a hole because we can fill it in when we layer the next piece on. Oh my gosh, so pretty, guys. Okay, push that back just a little bit. Now we're gonna work inside here. So we have 3 of these. So if you will use the concept, if I put these kind of a little bit here, and a little bit here, and then a little bit here, there may be a couple of little holes, but you're not going to notice them, okay? So let's start with this one up in that front. I just think this is fun because it goes to the really solid white in the middle and more wispy on the sides. Okay, push it in. Use that wire. There you go. Now scrunch that, oh, that's cute, together. So we kind of working on this line as we go to the next level. Okay, great. Now our next piece is going to go in here. Pull those blooms up, manipulate that wire, and we're going right here. Okay? It's the same thing. Just pull the blooms out of your way. Remember how I said a little bit of a triangle shape. So you get, basically it's helping you get a good coverage, even when you don't have exactly enough to get all the way around. Okay, let's go. So we went 1 there, 1 here, and now, oh my God, then our 3rd one's going here. This looks good. All right, now cutting it into the smaller pieces did give us a lot more control. So I'm gonna definitely recommend that rather than spinning it around like I thought we would do. I think that worked better. And then just push this in. Now you got a couple of little sections that maybe have a little bit less, like even going out to the perimeter, and you don't worry about that right now because what we're about to do is, see like here, I'm gonna crisscross these blooms a little. They separate a little, just crisscross. It'll keep them where they look like they've grown together. Don't go crazy. You see how that works? Aha, so pretty. Now, she's looking amazing. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through and I'm gonna gently pull up any of these other gypsos that we have going to the perimeter. And we still have a few extra. So what you want to do is find a hole. See, there's like a little hole here. So take, and you could even cut the pieces you have left into smaller pieces to get good coverage. Okay? Now come on in there. Come on in there. Just pop that. Oh, how pretty. Right there. Beautiful. So work my way around the perimeter again. And I'll take these little half pieces and put them tight to my other's baby spread. Oh, that was so good. All right, let's keep doing that. Then our last touch after this is we're going to add the a little bit more of the greenery. So keep this to the center. This stays in the center because the greenery holes that we're going to come around and fill are going to be on the outside. Okay, so you got to make sure you keep this in the middle. One more piece here. I'm going to separate. So hold a little bit of that off because you are going to have a couple of little gaps when you work with the garland. So not only can this be for a wedding, guys, but you can use this same recipe for different seasons and just play with it because it's so pretty. This one right here. Just remember, once you start that traffic flow, the direction, you stick with it. Take a look and look beyond the surface and don't look at all the pretty white. Look at the green in the background and look for holes. We've got about 6 or 8 pieces left of this and we're going to go in behind. Remember, this goes behind, not the foreground. And we're just going to keep watching that shape. And you're going to help kind of full up and finish out the shape. If it's a little bit overwhelming to look at the whole thing, just look at one section at a time. I'm going to go around. I see a little bit of a hole on this side. Fill that in. So I'm looking at the perimeter, and you might want to go hang it up and just kind of be like, okay, this is so full and lush. I cannot wait to take pictures of this. This is right exactly what the brides are wanting in their weddings right now. So I'm sure it would go so quick for that. But this is just a stunning, beautiful wreath and a gorgeous recipe you can use anytime, y'all. Okay, you're gonna have to share it with me when you try yours. It's luscious. This is a 14-inch wreath base. It's kind of the smallest size I like to work with, but you guys could go smaller if you wanted. Now this is our ivy stem that we're gonna use to go ahead and create kind of the base for the entire wreath. And it's so easy to tear. You just take and tear those branches and then you're just going to trim them off to about 1-inch stems. So I have 2 bushes of the ivy and we're going to start by, basically in design school we call this shaking hands. That means you're just shaping out the pieces to go forward. You are going to need a little bit of Spanish moss close by because that's how you're going to cover your glue. I'm a big advocate of covering my mechanics when I'm designing. So we're going to start to work our way around. I'm going to go a zigzag pattern. So we're going to start outside with one of the stems. Okay, and you see how you can see the glue, you're going to want to cover that. And you also, by adding that little bit of tension in there, you help support the stem. That's something I started doing years ago, guys. This is year 26 for me creating, designing, and having my own business. And so once I discovered how easy it was to work with that Spanish moss in there, I loved it because it made it just so much easier to create like a little secure spot for all of your stems when they're going in the grapevine. So just take and push it in. It's going to cover the glue, but it's going to create some tension. We're going to work our way around. We're going to keep zigzagging. You're just going to go one stem at a time. So we go outside, then we go inside and work our way around. Okay, and every time you get to that point, you're going to add a little bit of moss in there to create some tension. Here we go, working our way around. And this is going to create just a great foundation for all of the beautiful berries to go on top of. And make sure you're going into the vine. You want to kind of watch your perimeter too. There's a few steps here we're doing at the same time. I want to keep everything kind of consistent on that perimeter. And we'll work our way around. These are some of my favorite wreaths to make because they're pretty quick and they're satisfying. And you would just be shocked how many of these you can sell, guys. Some of this type of design were my best sellers in my Etsy shop because they are a neutral piece that can kind of work for every season. And it's really fun that the ivy is trending in something different, so we can play with some different greenery. All right, and once you pick a direction, here we're working clockwise, and you're going to see every stem we're going in is going in clockwise. That is another design principle we teach in design school, and it is about direction and direction changes and transition points, and very important in your wreath making because it's going to help you have a consistent look, and it helps you with the lines. When it all comes down to it, the lines create the flow of the design and they give you that natural, beautiful look. See how pretty? We ended up with 3 pieces in the middle, and we're going to have 1 more on the outside. And if you're not ready just to start putting them in like I am, you guys can stick them in glue merinos. You can stick them in and then come back and glue them. We had 4 of those bushes and we broke them up into small pieces, and we did the same technique we did on the ivy. So what we're going to do first this time is we're going to work around our perimeter. And with the perimeter, what we want to do is we want to be putting all around the outside the white berries, and then we'll save more kind of to the inside in a moment. So you're going to be dipping these in your glue skillet. If you don't have a glue skillet, that's an electric skillet that's used for cooking. It's kind of a smaller one. And what we've done is we use it for hot glue. And you could do the same thing in your home. Once you use it for hot glue, that's what it's for. You can't go back to cooking in it, but it's a great tool. And you can see I'm not pulling any triggers or having to do repeated movements. I can just put things right in them. So if you are making a lot of wreaths, it's just a really super easy way to do it. So I'm going to start off with putting 3 in each section out here on the outside. If you don't need to cover it with glue, if it goes in nice and tight, then you can put the Spanish moss on. We're gluing each piece in, but you don't have to put the Spanish moss if you don't want to. And these are going to go in the background of our design. So in design school, I'm always going to teach you about the foreground and the background and what's going in the middle zone of the wreath. All of that's important to kind of draw the eye in or out or up or around, depending on the lines we're creating. So right now we're going in the background, and the neat thing is all of the components and pieces we sell on Keleas.com are all great pieces that are wired. They're going to have beautiful, easy to manipulate wires inside each piece that make it so much easier to design. You see how I just brought that ivy up? Like, all of that is just priceless when it comes to making your work quality. You want your work to be quality, not only so your house looks beautiful, but if you decide to sell your pieces, if you want to get in and learn Etsy with us and learn how to market yourself better on all the social media, and come and join us in business coaching and in our design school, these little details matter, okay? Because we can teach you how to market and do all the things, but your product's gotta be at a good caliber so we can hopefully have a great demand for it. And set yourself apart. Even if you're one of our craft show students, we have a lot of students who do craft shows, and the way they set themselves apart is by coming and joining design school and learning designs that are not made with things from the big box stores. So when they set up their booth and their competition is right next to them, they're smoking them because it's not the same look, it's not the same thing. And people want to have beautiful homes, but not everybody wants to look cookie cutter and be exactly the same. So think about that when you're producing your designs. So I'm working out here to the outside. I'm going around right here. I'm working between. I'm trying to put 3 pieces of the berry in between each piece of ivy, the way we have it spaced. If I can, if it looks right. You may get 2 or 3. Either way is fine. You could always also, till you feel comfortable, remember, you can take and just totally lay it out and then come back and glue. Remember, I've got a 26-year head start on you. So I'm going to be able to glue it in right as we're rocking and rolling, okay? Now I'm just turning some of these leaves forward and kind of looking at my spacing. So we did the perimeter. Now I'm ready to come to the inside. And you can see how I'm moving everybody up. They were flat when we started. Now everybody's moving up and they're reaching out and they have this dimension. And you're going to see, you might have already seen on the finished images of this wreath, that's important and it really matters. Now I'm going to put 2 in the middle, kind of they're gonna be placed in the middle, but they're gonna kind of go to this middle zone, okay? And when I say 2, I'm gonna try to put 2 between each piece of greenery. But let's just start with 1, okay? Let's just start with 1 behind each greenery right here, because you got to get to a spot where it can sit in the grapevine too. We're going to just start with 1 in each section. Then I'm going to come back and start to put more than 1, okay? So right now we're kind of working in the middle, and I am going kind of manipulate that grapevine. Get in there with your finger. Separate it if you need to, like I needed to get in there. Just keep working. You notice I just keep spinning the wreath. That's so I can just keep working, going the same direction, not losing my flow. I just spin it around. And I'm making this on a table with you today, but you guys can make this on a wreath stand if you want to make it in front of you. That I always like doing too. Okay, there's 1 piece between every one, but you can already see we're going to need some more in here on this side. So we're going to work our way for another round around. Round and round and round we go. Okay, and lay that ivy right on top of it and just manipulate the leaves. Let's put 1 back here so we get it a little thicker. So this is when you're going to start to try to even it out a little. We've been fairly precise, but not too much. We're still just kind of free forming, so it doesn't look like it's machine made. It looks like it's, you know, it's handmade, like someone took time. There's some art and design in here when they put it together. Okay, see how I'm working? I really feel like I need a little more ivy over here. And remember, we saved those pieces from earlier. And if you hadn't done that yet, you can go steal some pieces from some of the longer pieces and just make your own little cluster. I'm taking those 3 pieces, we're clustering them together. We're gonna get them with a little glue, and I'm gonna go right in here. And we're gonna put this little bit of ivy right in here. Perfect. And that'll break up those berries a little. Nice, perfect. All right, now we've got about 6 or 8 pieces left, and I want you to work those right in the middle. Now we work the inside, we work the outside. Now start going through and get right in the middle. And remember, if you can see the glue, you got to grab that moss. See, there's a little hole right here. We're going to go in it. And you don't have to be like precise per se, guys, because you know, you don't mind if some of the grapevine shows. That in this design, it's a natural, fun look. So we're gonna work all the way around until we feel like we've got no big gaping holes. None of our glue is showing. We got this beautiful movement. You see all that? That's gonna move when a little breeze hits the front door. That's so refreshing. And this look can stay on a door really all year long. There's some people who don't do anything seasonal, and this will work great for them. And then for others, they just want something up, you know, right after holidays. They want to be able to switch them out, and this is just a great solution for that. I've got about 3 more pieces. Just kind of going in these little holes. Just keep spinning it around. And the main thing here is, you see, once we chose that clockwise direction, we stayed with it. We did not vary off that, because that would look so confusing with all these wispy pieces. It would look like a wild, you know, wild reeds that haven't really blown with the wind. They've kind of gone all the directions. Oh my gosh, y'all, this is turning out so gorgeous. So gorgeous. I love it. It's so full. That makes it so fun. So we used 4 of these bushes. We have the whole supply list for you on Keleas.com. You can ask for it here or text us at 832-734-5201. You just want to text us the word list, and it'll shoot you all the most recent supply lists. If there's any on there that are password protected, that's because that's for design school students who have, whenever I put out something new, they get first access to the supplies. So if you see that, just know that's for design school. And the others are available for those who aren't students to just jump in and give it a try. Look how gorgeous. Way to dress up like this beautiful design we've made and make it look a little bit different is to add a bow. And the 3-loop bow that we just showed you how to make is just perfect for this. And I like to put it down here at about 7, 8 o'clock. If you think about the clock hands on the wreath, they look just lovely poked right into here. So just take, you've got your cable tie right there, just take and reach down and go between a few pieces of the greenery down here and grab some of the grapevine. Just kind of move some stuff out of your way. You don't need a whole lot of, you don't have to put it down deep or grab all of this. Just move it out of your way a little. And then grab a little of that grapevine. The cool thing is you can put this loose or tight, however you want it to look. I'm going to get it tight so we can kind of tuck it in there. Then just cut off that little tail end. And this, you know, we're adding this to this wreath to make it look beautiful, and it's part of our design. But literally, you can dress up an older wreath you have so easy by doing this also. So this is kind of one of those tips that you can use in a number of ways. And did you see how I let some stuff overlap it? In design school, we call that breaking the plane, and it's an important part of our design because we like our pieces not to look like they're just set in, but like they're part of the design and they flow together. And then just take a couple minutes and curl up your tails. Just do some nice little curls. And those will flow beautifully down into your design. And look how sweet that is with the bow and the curls, just adding that little touch to the finished design. Isn't that adorable? Welcome, I'm Keleas. I'm very excited to meet you and have you here to our page. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow no matter what social media you're on, because that's how you get to see us again. If you've been stalking our page and be like, I want to get started with this, but I'm a little intimidated. It seems like I need a lot. Well, I'm here to tell you you don't. I've got the greatest introductory kit for you to try out for a basic swag that you can make for your own door. It's going to be a lot easier than you think. And it's a kit you can order, so it's one click and buy, and you're not running around to 10 stores to get what you need. If you saw this magnolia and it intrigued you, you might be from the South, or you just might love magnolias like we do. Look how gorgeous. Isn't it beautiful? When I saw these very real looking magnolias, had to have them. And I thought, let's design an easy kit for beginners. So it's just a little bit simple to get a finished look, and then you can kind of dabble in more if you want to. So this is our swag kit, and it is going to make a door swag, and I'm also going to teach you how to make the bow that goes on it and take you step by step through the project. So you're going to get one of these big magnolias, and then the nice thing with this is the swag comes pre-made. So you don't have to learn how to build this right now. It's going to come this way. So that saves you time if you're a busy mama or you've got a lot going on and you just want to create something but keep it simple. So this is the base that it comes with. And then you have the individual stem. And then here is our 4-inch ribbon. You're going to get the whole row. You don't need the whole roll, but you're going to have extra to do other things with and create stuff in your home, because I know you're going to be hooked after you try this. All right, so once you've gotten the kit, you'll get the roll of ribbon, you'll get the magnolia stem and the magnolia base here. The first thing you're going to have to do is take a little time on the magnolia base. It's beautifully constructed, and you're just going to take and spread it out a little. And that just takes a few seconds, and I'm not even a minute, but you're going to pull these blooms up just a little bit and have them poke up. In design school, we always have to do what we call shaking hands of our pieces. So I try to carry pieces that have nice wires. They're basically made to be manipulated, right? So they're strong and they have a nice strong wire, and that does cost a little more. So that's why I like to find you pieces that are cost effective, but are also, you know, they've got all the motion and movement in there. So you see, once I've taken that swag and really worked with it, how beautiful it is. Now it's pretty like this. We're going to be using them hanging in this direction. So we want to make sure that bloom's sitting up pretty, and we've got a little space here for our bow. And I'm going to use this bloom up above where the bow is going to be. So lay it on your table, and let me make sure you guys can see everything we're doing here. So I've got it on my table right here, and then I'm going to decide how much space I want to have between the bloom at the top and the bow, okay? And that just kind of depends. I'm leaving about 4 fingers right in there because I just want to be able to put the bow in there. Now, we made the bow on a different video, but don't worry, we'll link that here so you can see how to make the bow. And by the magic of, there's the bow. So we'll be putting the bow right in the center. Now, we constructed this in such a classic way. It works for every season. So this is kind of a non-seasonal piece, and it works great in between the holidays. So it's going to go right in here too, and I'm going to lay it right in that open zone. Oh my gosh, you see how pretty it is already? We haven't even done anything but laid up a few flowers and put the bow in the middle.
Isn't that gorgeous? I'm going to show you the construction methods on the next part in just a second so you can see how we're going to tie it together. But that's the gist of how we're laying it out. So we'll zoom in and I'll show you how to tie it together. So here's my swag, kind of how we've laid it out, but we actually have to construct it and put it together now. So pull the bow off for just a second. And what we're going to do is I'm going to just gently flip it over because we already know the space we've allotted in there. And you will see that this is going to already have a hanger on it, which works perfectly. And this stem can just run along the back. Now, you can put it on the right or the left or however you want. We're going to leave this as our hanger and start to kind of tie that on there. Now, the only thing that doesn't come in the kit is like cable ties to make your bow or the cable ties to attach it here. So you'll need some wires, whatever you need. You can use like small wires. I like to use cable ties because they can get so tight. Now I'm not even going to need a cutter on this. We're going to keep it super easy. I'm not even going to trim that stem. I'm literally just going to come in and we're going to tie it on with a cable tie here. So I've left the tails long right now so you can kind of see what we're doing. But then we will take and we will cut those off. So I'm thinking about 3 ties along the back is plenty. Trim these off. That's 2. And this leaf, we want to turn it around if we can because we want it facing the front. We don't want to have it backwards. And then number 3 can run right here in the middle. And you can get clear table ties. If your store doesn't have brown ones, that's fine. These are just usually found in the electrical department. And just slide that little nub to the side. We don't want to scratch anything. So once we do that, it's all secured. And our florals are where we want them. And we can manipulate it more. We've got that basic structure. We left room, what we call our bow zone. So what I want you to do now is kind of turn that, and we're going to go ahead and add in the bow. So if you need that link to the bow, just ask in the comments. It's also always going to be linked in the supply list, guys, on every project we do. Now I want to bring the bow right in here to that zone we left open. And I'm going to tie that with the cable tie on just kind of right at the bottom of the hanger. Isn't that pretty? And what I want you to do is manipulate the tails and bring them down and around. I like the long tail in the back because I think that is beautiful. Let me show you a little bit more. There you go. You see it? So pretty. Long tail in the back, the short tail kind of in the front here. And you'll see the finished pictures when we hang it up, but this is easy peasy and beautiful, and I know you can make it too. We're going to start off with our basket, a couple of hydrangeas and one killer beautiful greenery that is like the money maker piece right here. With that combination, we're going to be able to make this stand out beautifully. So the first thing you're going to need to do is prep your base, and we're going to use a small block of floral foam we already cut, and I want it to be able to go in here kind of at this part at the back. You are going to need a few of your floral pins, and then you're also going to need a glue skillet here close by because we're going to want to have this glued in really nicely. So rather than just put a bunch of glue on there and just poke it in, we're going to do it a little bit differently. I want you to push it in towards the back and then flip this over immediately. See, back here is pretty neat and clean. There's no reason to make this look like just a train wreck back here with a bunch of glue. So what I think is easiest to do is just come in with some floral pins, which are these U-shaped pins like this, okay? And you're going to dip them in the glue, and then I'm just going to take and put them just right over the wires. So that's going to support it. Now hold it with your hand up here too, and we want to make sure this is going to hold in there nice and tight. And I want you to come in from some angles from the side like this, grab. So you want to make sure you're going in with glue to hold it, guys, because if you just push these in, they'll go in and they'll hold, but they can also pull out. Okay, I'm going to push this one back into. Beautiful, and you can just spin it around. This is not the fun part per se, this is the prepping part, but it's important we do it to get everything ready. Okay, now once you've gotten 5 or 6 pins in, I want you to feel it, grab it, make sure it feels stable, it feels good. And then what I need to do now is get back here and make sure these are flush too. I can't have them just pushing against somebody's door. Good deal. And then I want to kind of hide this mess in the back, and the easiest way is to use our Spanish moss. So I'm going to get like a little handful of it, and I'm just going to kind of tuck this in that hole at the bottom. This is one big piece, not a lot of little pieces.
And then I'm gonna come in and just hide that whole back area with one nice big clump. And then once again, this time you're just pinning in the moss to hold it in. 1 and 2 of those, you are good to go. So now, not only the back is neat and clean, you can kind of pinch over those pins so the customer won't see that. I'm gonna flip it over and you're good to go. Now it's time to make our arrangement. And this is just a pretty beautiful, easy one. And what I want you to do first is grab your greenery bush. And this one I have already shaken hands with, which we talk about a lot in design school. And you can see I've shaped it up really pretty. It is such a gorgeous bush. When you put it in this basket, you can see how pretty it's gonna be. So what I want you to do is separate this into sections real quick. And you'll see it's got 3 main sections, 1 taller section. And we're gonna go ahead and do a quick and easy tear, which this will just tear right apart, and we're gonna use it first. So take and trim that off to where you want it to go up on your foam, but you want it to be just a little bit above the back side of our basket. So once I know that size I need, I take and trim all that off, okay? And you can just put your trash off to the side. I got my little trash bucket over here to the side. Now I'm gonna leave my twigs really popping out because I love that. And this is gonna run up right in the center of the design. So just give this a swirl in the glue pot, come back to your foam. We're gonna push it right in the center. Now hold on to your foam while you're putting that in the middle. You see how that's gonna go right up the center? Yay, that's just so perfect, okay? Now, we're gonna flank this with 2 of our hydrangea stems. These are these big, gorgeous stems. I love these. They have this off-white color and they have these beautiful leaves. You can leave the leaves on or take them off depending how it looks with your greenery. I'd play with it a little. But this first stem, I want it to be right about here. So you have to kind of see where that height is gonna be. And once you know it, you can tear it apart right here easy, but this one needs to be a little longer. So I kind of have to nip at it because it's got this realistic looking stem. These look great in vases because they've got this thicker stem, but you can still get to it. You just start kind of nipping it and you twist it and you cut the wire and you're in, all right? And this piece is gonna go off to this side. This is such a fun and easy one to make. And like I said, you can leave the greenery or take it off. I'm gonna leave it and we're gonna pop it in right there. We might lose 1 leaf. I think we're gonna lose this leaf in the front. And then when I take a leaf off, I do want to trim off that little piece so it doesn't look like it's missing something. All right, now hold these leaves off to the side and let's go in the glue. And once again, we're gonna go right here into the foam off to the side. Now, I'm going into the foam and I'm not planning to put a lot into this foam. So what I want you to do, where that glue's hot, you're gonna go ahead and hit it with a little bit of the moss. You know what, I'm gonna take the leaves off. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. I just think I like our greenery that we're putting in so much better, so let's just take it off. Okay, now this is in good, and that's gonna go right in that zone. Bend that head forward, and we're looking good, really good. Now our second hydrangea goes low and in this section. So this section, and you can leave those 2 leaves up by the head, that's fine, guys. We're gonna trim these off. And save these big leaves. These would work great to kind of cover up things. Now this one, I think we can take and separate. Aha, perfect. So I didn't even have to cut it. And this one's gonna go low into the bottom right here in the front, okay? So this design has 2 main flowers, and then we're using this gorgeous greenery. So I'm gonna push this kind of into the front of the foam. There we go, and I want that to come forward and break the plane of the container. Just like I teach my design school students, the layering is, very, very important. Now, it's back to the greenery we used at the beginning because this is gonna be the star of our show and help us finish off beautifully. So we're gonna take, first of all, and trim these shorter. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna start and bringing the greenery back and keeping it tight to where you put your first hydrangea in. I'm going to bring this over to the side, and it's got those beautiful green berries. And then this one I'm going to shape up a little, and we're going to work opposite, and it's going to go off to the side also. Trim that off. So the key on this one is to keep everybody really tight so that you don't have to end up adding a lot of anything. We can work with our design just right here tight, and the 2 hydrangeas just staggered apart. Bring those green berries through the middle a little. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Look how pretty. Now our last piece is a really fun piece. It's got all these fun twigs. And I want you to use it more to the foreground in the front here. So cut it short also, and then we will bring it in kind of forward. You could cut this into other pieces too if you wanted to. I'm gonna try to keep it all as one. I wanna see this pretty fern coming over the front of my container. So I'm gonna, oops, I got that leaf in the glue. That happens, you just take it off, fix it. No worries. This one we're gonna go off to the front. Oh my God, so stinking pretty. And then just bring these over. You know, the twigs, we want them to work opposite each other. Isn't that fun? And I really wanted that fern forward, and that's working great. So this is super simple. 2 hydrangeas, 1 greenery. I mean, if you can't make this, guys, you're not even trying. And it's just about your placement. And so it doesn't always have to be like volumes of product. It's about your placement. Now, the one thing you are going to need is that Spanish moss, because we got to get in there and make that base look pretty. So I'm going to grab another big ball of the moss, and we're going to just take and push this right into the front, and we're going to fill up any of the foam. And this is our chartreuse color. You could use any color that we carry. You just wouldn't want the natural gray because it would not work with this. You need to use one of the colors. One more on this other side. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. And I love that it has this square base, because you know why? I can lean this against a wall. You can't exactly see that, but that's leaning against a wall. So if I do craft shows and I run out of wall space, these can hang, of course, on my wall, but guess what? They can sit on the table leaning against the wall lower. All kind of fun things. Now I'm just taking a few floral pins and we're pinning the moss in. And we've done it. We've made a stunning floral arrangement. It looks professionally done. We used really 2 critical pieces to make this look amazing. And you just use a few pins to pin that Spanish moss in, and you're good to go. The last step I might do is I might take my finger and curl some of these just to be a little more refined. I like to take and put some curls on the twigs, or you might leave some long, some curly. You can stretch them out once you curl them. Make sure you get that fern going the way we want it. We've got some up here. We could just curl the tops a little. Look at this fun one up here. So just swoosh it around, curl a little. But isn't that fun? Have you been wanting to play with one of these cross wreaths? Well, I'm going to show you how to make a cute design on them that you can use all year long. And this one's not only for the door, but you can use it in your home, and it makes a perfect gift for a newlywed couple or a housewarming. And I'm going to show you how. The only thing you're going to need on your own is some hot glue, a little bit of floral foam in order to attach it to your design to here, and then some cable ties, just basic wreath making supplies. All the florals are coming in this kit together. What I'm going to do is think about how I want my florals to be. And a lot of times we design the crosses right here at the center, and that is totally fine. But I thought it would be really beautiful to let the cross just stand above and make our design kind of lower this time. So that's what we're going to do with this as we start to build it up. So the first thing I want you to do before we even try to prep our florals is grab your floral foam. You can get this at any craft store, and we're going to cut a little small block, which this came in a big sheet, and I worked my way down from it because it's the most cost effective because you get a whole bunch. But I just worked my way down and cut these into little pieces. So I'm just going to take my little knife and just cut a little piece off. Once you kind of score it, usually you can just pop it and break it into little sections. Okay, I don't need a huge piece, just something like this that can go down here at the bottom. I want it to be fairly centered. I'm going to make it just a little bit shorter because we don't need it too big. So just score and pop it. And I always save all these pieces for other projects. Now I want you to take, and I have off camera a little, this is my electric glue skillet. You can see I'm pulling it out. And I'm just going to dip it in here and just get a little glue on there, and you can kind of scrape it off the edge, get a nice little coating like this. And then we can put our glue skillet off to the side again. And I'm just going to tuck that, kind of wiggle it in right there to that foam base. Be careful. It's a moss base. I want you to come in from the back, and we're going to add a couple of floral pins back here. These are U pins, and there's a wire frame here. So if you can kind of catch some of these wires, it's going to help it stay more stable in there. Okay, so it's not just relying on the glue. This is a trick we use all the time in design school for different projects. So you guys can use it for this too. I'm gonna wiggle in from the bottom. All right, so I've grabbed the little wires to secure the foam, and she's in tight and good, and she's right kind of running down the middle. So I know I'm gonna tie a bow that's just really loud and proud right in the center here and a little bit. So let's start in kind of what we call greening out our base. That's putting our base layer of greenery. And this is our exclusive fishtail fern to Keleas.com. So I like to take it and make it short. Now you're gonna get this in the kit, so you don't have to order it separately. I'm gonna push that up so it's short. Now hold that up and you can kind of see how high that's gonna go, and you can decide, okay, I want a little bit shorter. Just the key is not to go so far that you push it off the whole wire, but that's okay. I've done that before. I do that about every week. It happens, don't worry. So I'm gonna trim those down like that. Yes, we're definitely not perfect. Of course, if you're a Christian and you're putting this up, you definitely know, hey, we're not perfect. We're doing our best, and we know we're forgiven. And that's all that matters. We can start each day fresh and new. Okay, I put that one off to the left. Now I'm gonna bring this one in, I'm gonna go off to the right and kind of just get a little left, a little right. I get my base started here. Okay, so I've got two going either way. Now let's work a little bit coming down from there. So we're just gonna work opposite where we just put in the placement. So I've got that one that we had already prepped right here, and I'll just tuck that in. Okay, and let's go on the right side. So let me get one more. I'm gonna push some more up, just about that same size. So just slide those puppies up to the top. I love that we have the option to use these long or short. It's another benefit. And then I'm going to trim these right off here. Keep these stems pretty short. Okay, so now I've got them all off the main base. And I'm going to put one more on this side that's a little bit longer one. If I have a longer one, this one's a little longer. I'll have this one kind of come off to the right. Okay, so what a great start we've got. Can you believe how quickly this comes together? It's so nice that it comes together this fast. So we've worked these opposite each other when we place them on the base. Now we're going to put the bow in. Now we've already made the bow. Check the supply list for the projects. They always have the bows. Once the bow videos have been posted, you can learn how to do it too. Here's our bow. When we made this bow, we put a cable tie in the back like we normally would. But in this case, I need foam on it because I want to be able to push it right into the foam, okay? So I'm going to take and just add a little floral pin back here and just tie that around it. Just use that cable tie you've got back up there and just get it really tight. So it's going on. I'm gonna get it as tight as it'll go, and now I've got my little pin and just trim that off. Okay, I've got a floral pin attached to the back of my bow. Super easy. And now I'm going to put a little glue on that. So I've got some glue here that I'm bringing over from my electric skillet of glue, and then I'm going to press that right into the foam right in the middle. Putting the bow in now is because we want to be able to work the florals into the bow. So we do wreaths and centerpieces either way. Sometimes we want that bow on the top layer. In this case, we want the bow worked in. Isn't it pretty already what we're creating? So the bow is at the bottom and the cross is going to stand out above. Just so beautiful. Now, save this greenery for a moment. We're going to come in with all of our beautiful white berries that also come in the kit. And you guys, if you want to grab this kit for yourself, just let me know in the comments. We'll get you a link so you can go shopping for it on Keleas.com. If you'll just take and tear these down, they tear down really nicely. I'm going to do that here right now. And then all I need to do is take and clean up their ends. And we do this with a lot of different florals in design school. It just makes it so easy to work with. So you cut each one just like this, separate them out into little smaller sections, and then just neatly trim the ends. Oh my gosh, it's so cute already. Y'all, these are coming out so clean and neat. I love that. And once we add these in, they're going to pop that creamy white against that yummy green. It's going to be good. It's going to be good stuff. All right, so they're all trimmed up. If you want, you can even come in and separate them and trim them shorter. Like I can take one of these and trim it into two. Okay, so now I have two smaller pieces. So we can have a little bit of both. So I'm going to do 3 of them cut into 2s. Like this. All right, so we get some smaller bits. And I leave them clustered so I don't have to add an extra step of repicking them or anything like that. Okay, now let's take the fuller pieces that are a little bit longer. See, when I put these side by side, one's a little bit longer than the other. Now take those long ones. We're going to come right out of the bow right now. And I'm going to come out to the right, okay? Just like we did that other one. We're going to match the greenery put in here. Or it's a little bit out to the left, actually. This way. Kind of centered, but just slightly out to the left. Now take another big piece. We're going to do the same thing up here, and it goes slightly out to the right. Go ahead and shake hands with these. So spread them out. Give them some space. Give that a twirl in the glue pot, and then come out into the right. Yeah. Okay. Oh, beautiful. So these are going up and down. That's a good start. Now let's take a couple of our longer pieces that we have left. And I want you to work kind of right beside where you went with the first one. Just a little bit more to the right or left. So I'm going to come a little bit more to the right on this one. There you go. And then the same thing will work opposite over here. A little bit more to the, this one's to the right, that was to the left. All right. So we kind of have this dynamic movement and this line created. So when you learned floral design in Keleas Design School, that's what we learned. We learned about lines and geometric patterns that help you achieve great spacing. And when you do that, the eye gets the most pleasure from it. It's almost mathematical generally, but I break it down where it's really simple and easy to follow. And you can see here, you see the lines working both ways on our cross. Oh, that's so pretty. I love this because this cross is going to stand out on your door for sure. All right, now we need to work in and around the bow. So we're going to come on either side. So let's get started with one of the smaller pieces up here to the right side. And now I'm going to come in and we're going to work it between the bow. Remember I told you we were going to do that? So open up a couple of pieces of the bow and just punch that into the foam right here between them. All right, that one's done. Now let's come down below. Do the same thing, going down. So even we're doing a small project today, there's still such things as transition points and movements and lines that we are working on to create a certain look. And it's really important. It adds value to all your designs when you're creating. And it just is much more pleasing to the eye. And the cool thing is if you ever want to sell your work, when you're able to establish that kind of look and depth and dimension, that means more dollars in your pocket when you're able to create that way. So I love that aspect of it. And these where you get to, people get to show their faith on their own door, I know that they just love that. It makes a great, great gift. Okay, now I've got my bow spread out. I've got two more white pieces. I'm going to hold on to them for just a second. And we're going to just kind of go a little bit more behind. So we've kind of created this beautiful movement, almost like a sunburst coming out from the middle of the bow. But what I want you to do now is support that same design right here with some greenery. And we're going to create some depth because we're going to take that greenery from the back and now it'll be up towards the front. So now I'm going to put a pop of green here and a pop of green at the bottom. I think we'll go off a little bit to the right. Oh my gosh, we're using some of our floral design techniques in here. You may not even see them coming, but it's going to come together in a second. Now I'm going to move one more to the left over here. So we've got one piece of greenery at the top, two at the bottom. Got a nice look, really complementing the explosion and of the florals. And look at the depth we created. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. It's just so elegant, so wispy. All right, take our last two pieces. And I'm going to just work these opposite each other, and we're just going to come in right and left, completely opposite. You choose which side needs a little more support, and I think we're going to go this way. So I'm going to use one on the top of the left here, just kind of beefing up that zone. I love, that looks good. And then one down here on the bottom right, so it works opposite. Okay. So if you take your time and you don't just start shoving stuff in and you really think about your placement and what we talked about today, I know you're going to have so much success when you create your own design, and when you're ready to create bigger and better pieces that are more layered, more depth, more dimension. You want to learn more foundations of floral design. I would love to teach you in our class. Come and join us at Keleas Design School. And in the meantime, you can grab this kit right now to get started and see how easy it is to create your own floral designs. All right, Bloomerinos, I'll see you next time. Go have fun with flowers. Bye, everybody.